We just use the populate function to be able to implement things such as joining, be able to retrieve specific fields that we want to replace the IDs of the foreign keys with the actual values. Let's play around with this a little bit further. First, one other thing that we would like to be able to do, perhaps a common thing that we'd like to be able to answer is, if I have a student, right, I would like to know all the sections that this student is enrolled in, right? So, for instance, I might ask const find students in section, for instance, right? And you provide the section ID that you want to find, right? And so now notice that we need to filter out the enrollments, right, where the section ID is equal to that ID there, right? And then it'll come back maybe with several sections, right? Maybe for instance, Bob is enrolled in 2 different sections. So if you provide the ID of I'm sorry, find students in section. Yeah, so for instance, we have, I believe Alice and Bob both enrolled in section 4. So if you provide the ID for section 4, then you will come back with all the students, Alice and Bob. So let's try and do that. So we're going to grab the enrollment model, and then we're going to do a find, and we're going to filter out for the section field so that it's equal to the section ID. Right, and so let's see what that does. And if we add that here, let's go back to the main, right? And now let's try out enrollment DAO, find students in section, right? So section 4, I forget what the ID for section 4 was. Let's see, section 4. So section 4 was this ID. So let's grab that, and let's pass in that ID. And presumably this is going to return, oops, students, and console log students. All right, so let's run that. So we have 2 students. Well, these are the 2 enrollments. And and you would want to know. Again, it only gives you the ID of the student. You can again use populate, right, to populate maybe the student information, right? So you can say populate the student information exec, so that if you rerun this, you can see that indeed it's Alice and Bob who are both enrolled in the same section, right? Also a common additional use case might be that it's the inverse, right? And this is what many mappings allow you to do, that you can do the inverse relationship. We can say you find sections student enrolled in, right? And you can provide the student ID, right? And you can do the find, where you can provide the student ID. Student is equal to the student ID, right? And then maybe populate the section, and maybe I only want the section name. And we're going to export this, and then in main, right, we can comment this out real quick and try it out. So this is enrollment DAO. Find section students is enrolled in. So Bob was enrolled in 2 sections. Yes. So let's see, Bob. What's the ID for Bob? Students. So Bob was what? I forget. This one, right? So let's grab that, and let's provide the ID for Bob, and then look at the sections. Console log the sections. There you go, right? So there's Bob is enrolled in section 4 and in section 3. Okay. All right, excellent.